Earlier today, I was doing VOD reviews for Overwatch, if I'm being honest, and sadly, when I checked my Twitch account, it just wasn't there. My files weren't there. So I'm a bit sad now. Alright, so we're gonna continue doing the VOD review. And in this VOD review today, at least the part that we're gonna be doing right now, is going to be, let's get this ad out of the way first. It's going to be a VOD review of the next two games from the prior two that I just did. In the last two, I casted the Shock versus the Seoul Dynasty's first two maps of the Grand Finals of last year. In what was dominance, the Shock won both maps. They beat them on King's Row 3-2. With time remaining, it was quite dominating on King's Row. We saw that the Shock constantly were able to keep themselves in fights when they should have lost. Like, they were down 2-3 people, and they should have kept losing fights, and they just somehow came out of nowhere. Super's Hog would get a pick or two, Ons would get a pick or two, Moth would get a res, Ons would get a pick, Super gets a pick, and all of a sudden it's a 3v3, and the Seoul Dynasty are in shambles. And that's what happened all of King's Row. During Oasis, the big carry was Violet. He did so much work on Oasis, and so were Striker. Striker and Violet were just putting work out with the dive apart on Smurf's ball. And that's what we left off on. And so now we are back, and we are going to be reviewing what I believe is Hanamura, and the map after Hanamura, if I am not wrong, is Watchpoint Gibraltar. So let's get in it. These are two good maps from what I remember watching it about 6-7 months ago, and let's hope we can have a good stream. Alright. So we see here on the infographic that Hanamura has been a really good map for the San Francisco Shock, finishing once with 5 minutes and 4 seconds, and another time with 5 minutes and 22 seconds. The team just goes absolutely crazy. And let's see what they're going to be running, who their starting six are. And we know this is a 2CP map. Okay, we see that Choyobin stays in. Super, Choyobin, Striker, Aunts, Moth, Violet. So they're probably going to keep running the Sigma, no ball, as Smurf is meant for the ball. And the Seoul Dynasty are going to keep their main lineup in. This lineup's been the one that they've been running the whole season. The whole postseason, and that's gotten them this far, especially the Hog on Gesture and the Hanzo on Prophet. So why don't we get into it? Hanamura. We see that the Shock are going to be starting first on defense, running a Sigma Hog, Ash Widow comp, along with the Mercy and Zenyatta. So practically what they've been running this whole time. The only difference that's been happening with the Shock has been the fact that Striker either gets to play Tracer, Ash, or Hanzo. He's been quite flexible, and he's been really good. And we see here that the Shock have a crazy good record, 13-0 on Hanamura. They've never lost Hanamura before. And so the Seoul Dynasty are going to probably run the Sigma Hog comp again. And I'm assuming they're going to run the Hanzo. Maybe Symmetron to point. We don't know. We'll see that once we get into it more and more. Or maybe it's just a quick TP out of point to get him good positioning out of the point. Alright, so the Seoul Dynasty start an attack. Hanamura. Let's see how this goes. Violet just straight off the bat destroys Prophet, probably with the volley. Prophet gets rezzed, and they're going to push in. Have to be very careful that Zenyatta just goes absolutely crazy getting picks like it's nothing. Violet's Zen is probably the best in the league, if not maybe a close second to Alarms. They switch off the Symmetra, and now they're going to push in. I'm assuming Fitz probably going to go Ash or some sort of sniper comp. They're going to take point here slowly. Meanwhile, they wait for Fitz, who went Widow, to get some sort of peek from mid, or the main point. And now let's see what's going to go on. It's been quite stagnant, no big push-up. Minutes gone off the clock already. So the Seoul Dynasty really need to find a window here or there, get a pick here now if they really want to win this fight. Unless they're just feeding the San Francisco Shock a bunch of time, and that's not in their benefit. We see Hog going off on a flank here. He's lost more than half his health. He's scared. He probably does not want to peek a lot. Ash low. And we see that there's a main fight on point. Sigma v Sigma. And the Hog just gets melted. Discord Orb with the Ash just plummeting damage on him. He's down. The Shock Hog, absolutely amazing hook off a super, trying to get the Widowmaker out of the point, and now they're down 2, and the Soul Dynasty either need to reset right away, or they need to die. They're not going to win a 4v6, especially on Hanamura like this. The Shock are in control, unless Prophet were to get both healers out of nowhere. This is not a fight for them. We realize that the Soul Dynasty are going to have their Hog back. He's going to come in and try to get another flank hook or something, and Gesture just has not been really showing up so far this series. If anything, I mean, it's been Prophet doing all the work, and he gets the Hog on point. And now Prophet's going in, gets a good Sonic Arrow, and Gesture's behind. Big Transcendence coming out of Violet. They're still down 1. We're going to probably see the Mercy rest. And for the first time in this whole series, they finally punish the Mercy for resing. Violet's going to die more than likely here, and I'm going to assume that the Shock are just going to take this point for free. I mean, the Dynasty, I'm sorry. The Dynasty take point. And the big thing here is that they were able to get Violet's Transcendence out, and they can push in the second point quite fast with a lot of manpower. Striker switches over to the Hanzo, and now they have both tank ults, Sights, and Mercy ulti. This is going to be a huge fight for the Soul Dynasty. They're going to want to push in strong and fast. Meanwhile, the only thing that the Shock can really do is Gravitic Flux and maybe get a super ult, but Gravitic Flux can be easily countered by Rock or Hook. You never know. So let's see what the Soul Dynasty get picked off really fast, though. Ons gets a beautiful pick on Prophet. It does get res, though. Toby starting to prove himself a bit more on the Mercy this round. And now let's see. They're going to push in through top right. A very famous push point on Hanamura. If you break through it, it yields great results. And Violet and Choyobin are up there holding guard. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see the Hog, the Hanzo, and the Mercy. Hog low, Hanzo can die, as we see they're using sights. Not much else. They're holding left side. If honestly, the Soul Dynasty can just push into the right. If Prophet gets a big pick here, either on Striker or Moth, this can lead to big collateral yield. It's just crazy right now. They get another Transcendence, but it looks like a lot of the work is going in through the Shock. They've put in a lot of work here, but you have to take into consideration the Dynasty were able to take almost 2 takes off. It is a quite good fight. The Dynasty are going to have to reset and maybe try to get a bit more ult charge again to want to push in again. We do realize that the Shock used their Sigma ulti, their Zen ults, and that's about it. We see them preserving the Mercy ult for if anyone gets picked or a big push comes in. Mercy ult can keep everyone healed for a little while and can yield a very high and essential res. Especially the ones that Moth have been covering this whole series have proved super beneficial. So with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, the Soul Dynasty are going to try to etch in again on Hanamura. Second point, probably one of the worst points in the game. Everyone hates 2 CP. Hog goes in, goes on bottom, and he's going to start his flank for the Soul Dynasty. We're going to see, the Shock misses their hook, and we're going to see Gesture gets a big pick. Both Violet and Super down. A tank and a healer, both down, and they can take point. They can probably take point little by little. Prophet going to try to get a pick here off the high. What a hook by Gesture, getting the Hanzo off the high ground, and they're taking point control. Choyobin's there. He's the last hope for the Shock, at least for a little bit. He gets hooked, killed right away. And now Gesture dies again. They do get a second tick. Both Mercies use their ult. Violet trying to kill the Sigma, and he gets him. He actually gets him, and Moth gets a big res. It seems that this fight is not going to be going in the way of the Soul Dynasty any longer. As you see, the Shock are just so good at getting picks out of nowhere. They're down 2 or 3 heads, and they just lose. They just come back, and then the Soul Dynasty end up losing big time. Violet, again, with another Transcendence. Striker does have his ult, and Choyo has his ult. So the Shock have ults to stabilize himself on point. Big thing here is Soul Dynasty's going to have 4 ults, both healing ults and both tank ults. If they can come in, Gesture gets a pick. If they can come in, Marvel gets a pick, or even Prophet gets a pick. Unite automatically, the Hog, keep him alive, and there's the carry potential to win this fight. It all depends on trying to get Violet out of this fight as fast as possible, or getting his trans out. That is what you want under all circumstances if you're the Soul Dynasty. And you want to finish this map with some time remaining, if anything, if possible. We see that the San Francisco Shock are playing all on the right side towards outer. There's a good Sonic Arrow by Hanzo there. and now they're going to push underneath. We see that the Hog, the Sigma, and the Mercy are down. They've used Nano Boost, a Nano Hog all over point. Sigma is C9ing currently, but they can't get the point off. Hog dies, and they use Transcendence. Choyobin dies real fast, and this is a split fight, but honestly, they can get the point if they push him off point for just a little bit too long. And there's, oh my god, it's 99%. It's very close. The Soul Dynasty have restabilized and been able to take point away. Violet can't do much on point. He dies right away. Striker goes off, and it's a C9. Both Ons and Striker stay alive, but they are not able to contest point. And we see the Soul Dynasty are able to take both points on Hanamura with some time remaining in a fight that was looking halfway for both teams at some point. The Shock had a really good fight, had a really good chance at restabilizing, but the Dynasty somehow pulled it out. It is a lot of work out of Gesture, Creative, and Marvel. Violet is going crazy, just producing transes as fast as he possibly can, but the Dynasty do get the 2 points. Now, we do know that the Shock get this map done quite fast, and we're going to see if maybe they can come out here and get a 5-minute, 4-minute, 3-minute time, and that could prove to be crucial. Okay, we see the Soul Dynasty coming back out here, and they're going to defend with the Prophet. With the Prophet, with the Pharah, Prophet being on Pharah, and this is a bit different from most of the compositions being run. We normally see that the compositions right now are some sort of sniper and then the Hanzo. He's going to go with a Pharah here from above, trying to get from the top edge of the entrance and see what they can do. Super comes out on the ball, not on the Hog, so they might be going for some sort of dive comp, as Striker also comes up out on the Tracer and Baptiste. These are two very different compositions to what they've been running the whole time so far. We're going to see if the Pharah Prophet yields the dividends that they wanted to yield, as he is quite their carry player, or if Gesture just goes on a complete rampage. They get to point. Choyobin is quite stripped off. They use Lamp already, so this is a big and critical moment for the Pharah to come in and get a pick. The Ash is really low. Oh, and they put the Baptiste into point, and he is now down. They do lose their Mercy, and that's quite critical considering the spawn advantages that the Shock have. They can push in really fast with no Mercy, no res. You get a pick, you get 2 picks, and then it's over. Striker here on the flank, trying to see if he can maybe get the Ana or maybe get the Mercy. Well, the Mercy's down, so probably the Ana or the Pharah. We're going to see. Can he get a 1 clip? Oh, it's really low. They have to peel for him. And now he's going to go and try to spawn camp the Mercy out. He's trying to get here. Oh, no. They lose Ana very quickly. And it looks like they might lose their Sigma. The ball's playing well. The dive's working well. They're running Diva ball dive. We don't see this very often, especially in this meta, especially with the Hog and Sigma meta. Baptiste putting a bunch of heal on point. He's going to get his window right here, right now. He can... And you see, look at Violet play here as a DPS player. Oh, he gets hooked right away. And it's horrible. The Soul Dynasty flipped this fight right away. Maybe they can get another couple picks. Moth gets a res and Striker gets a pick. Now they've flipped this fight two people over. This is the crazy portion of how the Shock play. They just flip fights out of nowhere with a res and a pick. The Dynasty get another pick back, and we see if maybe they can get another one. Ball gets rocked. No hook. They nano Hog. He uses his ulti. Ball really low, and it looks like they're probably going to stabilize here. The Shock do have 5 people alive, and they can come back in, especially considering they have Mines and Bomb, especially given that Diva has that extra life because of Bomb. The Pharah doesn't seem to be yielding too many kills, but it is interrupting the backline, especially that Baptiste. He's just not being able to attack fully, and Marvel hits a crazy rock. Moth gets the res, and they're back in. Ball dives into the back line. We see that he uses his Mines. He is really low, though. Mines don't get big pick, but Choyobin does get a big pick on the Ana. Choyobin gets another pick, booping off, fits off the point, and it looks like the San Francisco Shock are making headway here through big plays from the dive coming out of Super and Choyobin. No one dies. They still have Bomb. They're going to have another window. They have Pulse Bomb, and they're going to have Moth. Right now, the Soul Dynasty are in a very critical and bad position. They don't have any ults. They even switched off the Pharah. It wasn't yielding the results they wanted it to, and they are ultless. The San Francisco Shock can come in here with 4 ults and set up a great time with 3 or 2.5 minutes, basically rendering 1 minute to the Soul Dynasty and making life super difficult, going up 3-0 in this series. Gesture hits a great hook on the Violet, and Fitz gets a pick onto the enemy Ash, and they seem to have stabilized for at least a little bit. They will not get absolutely rolled right off the get-go. Violet switches off the Baptiste because he uses ult. He's now on the on the Zenyatta, and he's going to be using Discord Orb to try to get Gesture killed automatically. It looks like that won't be the case. He's going back to the Baptiste. Maybe he feels that rendering more damage on his own with Baptiste and Immortality Field is huge here. We're going to see who they're going to dive. Presumably, they're going to try to go for the Ana with the ball and the Diva dive. And Striker does have his Pulse Bomb. A big Pulse Bomb from Striker, knowing how good he is at the Tracer, can yield a lot of dividends here. Let's see what goes on. The Ana is all the way on the other half of the map. I doubt the dive is going to be able to reach her. Big rock here. Ons is probably going to die. Ons dies. Prophet dies, so it's a DPS for DPS. They use their Sigma ulti, and it proves getting super out. Choyobin gets to use his other life, and Bomb gets a pick on Fitz. And this is looking ugly for the Seoul Dynasty. It looks like the San Francisco Shock have a real shot at winning this. They stick the Stigma, and now it's up to the big hero play from Gesture since he's nanoed, and he's getting double pocketed. Can he make something happen? Dragon comes out to split team. If he gets a big hook on someone, he gets a big hook on Striker, who's been putting a lot of work in. No more dive on the Ana. Bob comes on to point, but Prophet gets Moth. Prophet gets Choyobin out of his mech, and now somehow, some way, this hero play, Gesture was able to stay alive on point with the nano boost and the double pocket, and they're able to restabilize, getting a pick, and Prophet getting Choyobin out of mech and getting a pick onto the DPS. Now they're going to try to stagger this baby Diva. Make sure. Oh, wow. And the sleep dart is huge. They're going to have to wait another 15 to 20 seconds until Choyobin can even get onto point. Oh, no. Choyobin's been staggered heavily. Shock did get a tick on that. That gives him another minute. Violet just dies. It seems like he might be switching off the character or trying to not stagger. Prophet does die, but he gets res right away, so it is okay. As we look so far towards the ult economy, we see that the San Francisco Shock have some ults. Let's see this play by Violet. He uses his lamp, but oh, he seems to have just fallen off. He seems to have fallen off and cost his team at one fight there. But we see ult economy wise that the San Francisco Shock do have lamp, and they will probably have pulse bomb. Maybe with lamp they can get something going, especially with Ons. The Seoul Dynasty do have nano boost, and nano boost has proven to be critical this map. Gesture has been staying alive 2 to 3 times so far on this map simply off of nano boost. He jumps in, tries to get a hook, doesn't seem to get anything off. They probably use lamp. He does get Ons. Ons gets creative though. He is nanoed. Maybe one pick, two pick here can provide crucial yields. Prophet's playing the super 1v1. He wins. Striker on point trying to get Fitz. He absolutely destroys him. Now it's going to see if Prophet can get the Striker. Oh, and he gets him. And it looks like they've been able to restabilize. And slowly but surely, if you look at the time, the San Francisco Shock are losing time. They came into this with 4 minutes and 10 seconds, and now they only have 50 seconds left. They're in 1 to 2 fight territory. One really good fight, and potentially a second scrappy fight. And I don't know if that's going to be the way it goes. We continue seeing Violet tries to go Zen in desperation, maybe try to get an extra pick using the orbs, and the Seoul Dynasty do have ult economy on them. All that the Shock really have is Bob to maybe have point contention, give them a little bit more sustainability, but not even at that. Marvel can pick them up here and low-key end this whole battle before it starts. If Prophet just dragons, they can. And here it goes. Prophet's going to dragon that, and let's see if they can get the picks. And they get 2 picks, 1 pick, and it looks like at this point the San Francisco Shock have lost the map of Hanamura. The first time they're going to be losing the map all season in the grand finals, as they probably will not be able to touch. Maybe they'll get one last contestation in last second. Hog uses his ulti, and it is over. Hanamura ends. The Seoul Dynasty are able to get a point in the grand final. It is now 2-1. San Francisco Shock are up, but we're going off to Watchpoint Gibraltar now, which is another good map for the Seoul Dynasty. Throughout the whole playoffs, they have proven that full payload maps are for them. They know how to win them, and they are very good at them. So we are going to go to Watchpoint Gibraltar next. And let's get to it. All right, Watchpoint Gibraltar. So on this dive heavy map, we are probably going to end up seeing some ball play out of the San Francisco Shock, unless they just want to go for the Sigma Hog, which in this case I was completely wrong about the dive play, even though this is a very, very famous dive map. They will run double sniper, and the one thing about Watchpoint Gibraltar is that the double sniper goes absolutely crazy. The sightlines are so wide. There is so much sightlines. First point, you can look straight out of spawn and straight into spawn, all over the place. Widowmakers and Hanzos have the best times of their lives on this point. Second point, on top of the spaceship, watching the spawns, it is crazy how much value a sniper can get on this map. And we know Ons is probably one of the best snipers in this game. he is going to be feasting on them. So we see that Fitz will probably switch to Widowmaker. Yeah, there you go. And then, okay, so it's the same comps as usual. Nothing different, nothing like the Hanamura map that we just saw. And here we go. The Shock holding the common high ground that most teams tend to hold. Striker gets a big pick on Fitz, the snipers. It's going to be a battle of the snipers this map. Let's see what else goes on. Fitz will probably get rezzed unless it's a very compromising position. Prophet took some high ground positioning. Now he's trying to fight. It is a very risky play for him, but he's able to get Choyobin off the high ground. Off the main high... Oh my god, On's hitting a beautiful shot on Prophet. Absolutely destroying him through a small little crack. Absolutely nuts. But let's see if they can get some card push. Maybe they can put the team out of equilibrium. We see that the Seoul Dynasty Hog and the San Francisco Shock Hog are having hard times getting a hook. Having this whole high ground unevenness gives Hog a hard time in like completing hooks and getting the big kills that they need Hogs to get, especially on this meta that depends on the Hog so much to do a lot of work. We see Prophet again. Let's see if maybe he can get a pick or will he get picked. The Seoul Dynasty are a bit discombobulated in what they're doing so far. They're trying to decide whether to go down, go on the left, take high ground control fully. Great rock by Marvel, but it doesn't yield much as the Mercies they're pocketing him. Big hook. They get Striker, but at the same time they lose their Hog and Mercy's going to res. And as we tell you, Moth's reses have been crazy this whole series. All he does is get a res after res after res, and he does not get punished at all whatsoever. They lose their Mercy, and now they have to reset completely. It's a very dangerous game. Fitz does get ons, though. We'll see if it gets res or not. I don't think res cooldown is up yet. Maybe they can get Hog here. Hog doesn't have no heal. So they're going to push in. Not a lot of sustainability yet. Let's see. Maybe they can push in the Sigma onto the left, who is quite alone, split away from the team. If they push him sustainably, they can get the pick, and that'll be huge. They get Violet, and they get Sigma. As we see here, Sigma gets nanoed instead of the Hog. Hog Gesture keeps losing the Super, but the big thing here is that he gets his attention, and Super's not able to go help his team. So the Seoul Dynasty just roll through the Shock on the other end. They do use their Sigma ult. They're going to get the Mercy off of this, and they're going to get the Hanzo. It's a good way to signify that they're going to get this first point. They're clarifying, and they're trying to lay the law down. We're going to win this point. And at this point in time, the Seoul Dynasty need to do something of this caliber. We see Gesture switches off the Hog. He's having too hard of a time actually producing anything on the Hog and going ball. Running some sort of dive. Ons gets a big pick on Prophet. Prophet gets res though. And we see that the Shock use a big Gravitic Flux and a Dragon, and the Shock are able to re-stabilize. It is absolutely crazy how good this team is on a one-on-one level. These guys just don't lose fights. They are able to come back and win. They've proved it all along this series. The only hiccup they had was Hanamura, and maybe they might be able to full hold Seoul Dynasty at this point. Seoul Dynasty Gesture goes back to the Hog, even though he was yielding no results off of it. Prophet does have Dragon, and it is quite the substantial ult here, considering that Super's Hog has an ult. So this is going to be a very dry fight. It is really the team who's able to get more picks faster, more picks reliably, and not letting the other Mercy res. That is the huge portion of this fight. Do not let the other Mercy res. If the other Mercy res is, it's practically useless, the fact that you got another pick. And they lose Marvel. Dragon goes in. Dragon absolutely gets no one, but they're able to res the Sigma. So it's still a 6v6. They have sights open. Can they get a pick off of this? Can they attack and punish the fact that Violet is alone? And they do. And they're able to keep their Sigma healed up, and Prophet on the flank gets a big pick. Choyobin's going to die right away. And it looks like maybe the Seoul Dynasty are able to get this point in last fight territory. That's a huge mistake by the San Francisco Shock. They let them res. What a hook by Gesture. Absolutely mental. They get Violet too, and now they should be able to get quite good push out of this. They should be able to get at least through the spaceship, through this streets phase of Watchpoint Gibraltar, as one might say. They take the high ground, trying to destabilize the San Francisco Shock. They're able to pick up Choyobin, and if Choyobin falls, he dies right away. That's a big play. They're getting their tank out of the way, and they might be able to get a Dragon and destabilize this team completely and just take street phase for free. That's huge. Now, we do have to say that San Francisco Shock have big ults. They have both their tank ults and they have Violet's ult. Transcendence proves to be huge unless Creative gets big purple. And Marvel gets a pick on Violet. This is huge. If the Seoul Dynasty push in right now and they just are able to completely attack, completely enable their whole team to just kill the San Francisco Shock. He super gets purpled, and all of a sudden it looks like the Seoul Dynasty are taking Street's face of Watchpoint Gibraltar for absolutely free. Violet gets picked early on, and this just seems to be a bit of a mess up from the San Francisco Shock, something that we don't see very often. And they're just going to keep pushing. They get a lot of time. The one thing that San Francisco Shock do have on their side is that they have all their ults. They have 6 ultis. Now, the Seoul Dynasty might have 6 too, but they're going to have spawn advantage, and they can restabilize completely here. If someone gets picked, then the Shock are genuinely just putting themselves on a position to lose. We're going to see if Ons can get a big pick here using his sights. Marvel should be scared peeking. They have to be careful. There's 3 on this side, 3 on that side. It's a bit of a split fight. Let's see if Super's going to try to get in a flank here and maybe try to get a pick. He gets scared. He moves out. He decides against it. Prophet uses his dragon maybe to get a pick here or there or to destabilize the team. They're able to split Choyobin off the team, and Prophet gets a nasty shot on Ons. Gesture nanoed. Can he get a pick on Violet? Can he get a pick on Violet? That's the big pick here. Can you get the pick off the Zenyatta? If Zenyatta dies, you win these fights. That's what's proven to be the point the whole time. Super dies on point. He will spawn in, and the rest of the team will spawn in for a last fight towards the bottom edge. They have 5 ults. They need to start pressing Q. If they don't start pressing Q, they're gonna start losing. Violet ults, and they still lose Striker to a headshot off Ons. He does get res though. Prophet gets a pick on Violet. Huge. This is what they need. If they want to win this fight, that's exactly what they needed. If they have any ults, Gesture needs to stay alive here and potentially ult, maybe get someone off the map or something. They do lose their Sigma, and now they're down a tank. It looks like they're going to try to stabilize and move backwards. If Prophet dies here, that's a big risk. Oh, Prophet. And Prophet gets out alive. Gesture's out here dueling and peeking and really putting himself at big risk, but he's able to get out alive. The San Francisco Shock, in essence, used all their ults except their Hog ult, and that is a huge pick by Striker. Wow. Okay, the Shock need to restabilize. They lost their Hog completely. They do have their Ana, but the Seoul Dynasty have ults. The Seoul Dynasty have ults, and they can push in here and potentially win this map right here, right now. And that's what they need to do. And the good thing is you don't need to win this map with any point if you want to get another round at it. You just want to finish this map. That's what matters. We don't see any picks going out. It seems to be quite a stale fight. Sigma engages with his ult. Violet does not have his ult. That's a lot of damage right there. If they can get one of them picked off, Dragon comes in to split team. They can get both tanks here as the healers and the DPS are split from both tanks. Both Hog's ult and the Hog and the Sigma for the San Francisco Shock die right away. And all of a sudden, it seems to be that the Seoul Dynasty are able to take away and get all 3 points on Watchpoint Gibraltar attack. And that's huge. The Shock honestly really threw away their game and their chances at winning, or at least holding this map in Street's phase. They were not sustaining themselves. They would constantly just go in, and it seemed like Violet was trying to get pick after pick after pick, and he just couldn't. He just died right away. Hog was getting him, Sigma was getting him, Prophet was getting him on the Hanzo. The Shock need to stabilize more. They're not giving themselves enough time to stabilize, and the Seoul Dynasty are taking so much advantage off of that. And I feel like they're going to pretend to keep taking damage off of that. I mean, if they can keep doing it, why not? It's getting them what seems to be a very good ending to their attack, and now we're going to see how they're going to defend. Let's see what the Shock are going to do on their attack. They're going to be running the same comp, and the one difference here is that we're going to see the Seoul Dynasty running a Genji. This doesn't happen very often, but Prophet is known for his Genji. He's played an incredible Genji over the years, especially in Season 1 when he won the playoffs with the London Spitfire. He had an incredible Genji. He had an incredible Tracer. He's a very flexible player. And let's see whether the Genji can yield good damage, especially on the Zenyatta. They are going to have Nano Blade too, which can go through Transcendence, practically yielding Violet's ults and rendering it useless. The Seoul Dynasty hold high ground per usual, and the San Francisco Shock seem to just try to get a little bit of cart push. The Hog and the Zenyatta, along with Ashe, try to take high ground advantage here. Try to take some high ground off of the Soul Dynasty. What a shot by Fitz, absolutely destroying the Ashe. It does get rezzed, but that's still a very big pick. Maybe Prophet can get another pick here, and then it renders them a 5v6, hopefully a win on their fight. Super, super low right now. Did you see what I did there? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, we see that they have sights now. Prophet trying to get a pick. What a deflect off Prophet. Ons would have hit a nasty shot there, but he didn't. Fitz gets the pick back on, and the Genji is going absolutely crazy, getting 2 picks back to back, 3 picks. Oh my god, Prophet's Genji, absolutely nuts. And now we see that the Soul Dynasty, with the help of sights, were able to push in and completely destroy the Shock. Big deflect here by the Genji, absolutely nuts. Gets back in there and gets them to kill. Fitz is absolutely dominating Ons on this map. I told you earlier that this map heavily revolves around what snipers can do for you. And right now, the sniper battle is going to the Soul Dynasty. They are holding the Shock here. A big pickup by the Sigma ulti gets to a lot of damage. And we see that they have Blade. And the San Francisco Shock have no Transcendence. So a big Blade can come here and wipe 2 players out and they can take it off. Prophet does die though to an On's headshot. They are able to get the Ashe away. Okay, Rez, this is a big time to get some aggressive push in here. Maybe try to farm up your Nano Boost and try to get Blade going. And it seems like that's going to be the case. Nano Blade, let's see what can happen. He gets Striker, he gets Moth, and they pop Transcendence out, and it renders useless as he gets 2, and he gets a 3rd. Wow. So the Soul Dynasty here are practically playing off Prophet's Genji. His Genji puts in work and scares the other team. They try killing him and they just can't. They try hooking him, he's nanoed. They try doing everything else and the team peels for him perfectly. Gesture and Marvel are there for him at all times. He gets the Nano Blade. They even get the Transcendence out of the other team, and they still are able to get 2 picks out of it. Prophet's going absolutely mental on the Genji right now. We do see that the Soul Dynasty have sights, and they might want to use this pre-engage because the San Francisco Shock have several ults, and it's a bit scary to engage with no ults. Prophet gets a big pick on Violet, and Violet has been a key player to all the fights that have been won. Prophet does die to the whole hog, and what a hook by Gesture. It looks like Moth is going to be able to get a res off, and now San Francisco Shock might have a good chance at winning this fight, but it looks like Moth dies to a mine. Big hook Ons dies, and so does Sigma. It seems like they've been able to destabilize again, and the Soul Dynasty are putting themselves in a great position to win this map with only 30 seconds left. The San Francisco Shock are out of line. The Genji has just gone absolutely crazy. Fitz's Widowmaker has been getting pick after pick after pick, and Ons has not been able to put out the same value production. Striker has practically gone missing this map. Let's see what else can happen. What else can happen? This is the last fight territory for the Shock. They don't have very many ults. Violet is on the Baptiste because they know that they have Nano Blade. Baptiste's lamp is going to be big. Here comes the Nano Blade. He gets rocked and he gets hooked. Oh my god, they're able to stop the Prophet Blade. Fitz still gets aunts in return. They do get the lamp out of the way, so they don't have immortality anymore, but it's huge. They are up 6v5 as they get the res off. Oh, Violet can die really close here. Big purple by Creative. Ginormous purple. He gets 4 players, and they get a sleep, and they get a hook. Gesture going nuts last fight. Creative practically winning that last fight with a 4-man purple, not letting anyone get healed, and the Soul Dynasty have been able to tie this series up. We are now 2-2 in the grand finals of the 2020 Overwatch League finals. And we see that they're about to go back into a break, and for now, I will be taking a small break too. It was a very, very clean, close map on Hanamura, but at least for Watchpoint Gibraltar, the Soul Dynasty have come out and absolutely decimated the Shock. The look on their faces says it all. They are beaten up. They need to reset, regroup, and get the mentality back. The Shock are winners, and they know how to come back from losses, but that's very hard to come back from 2 straight losses in a row. The next map I'm pretty sure will end up being Hollywood, the hybrid map, and then we'll see what goes on next for the San Francisco Shock. That'll be it for now. I'll be back later. Thank you for tuning in.